This episode has a couple of warnings. One is for language, and the other is a trigger warning because we do talk about losing a baby after birth. All right. Welcome, Mindy Abovitz Monk.
Thanks
Please,
for having me.
yeah, you're welcome. Please, can you tell us, to start off, how did you get into drums?
Right. So I got into drums via the bass guitar. So my brother gave me a bass guitar when I was about 14 years old. Right after I was introduced to Riot Girl music, which was like Bikini Kill and Red Ants and everything. So he kind of saw that I was ready to play. I think he missed the instrument. So he gave me a bass. And I played it, and I started a Riot Girl band with some girls in Miami that went absolutely nowhere. Like, it took me a year to realize I had to plug my bass guitar in. It was an electric guitar, so it was a couple misfires. And then I moved to Gainesville, Florida, for school. I went to University of Florida, and it wasn't until I was probably 21 years old that my best friend realized I was a drummer and that I had been just gravitating towards everyone else's drum sets. So she and another friend saved up and bought me my first drum set, which was a Red Percussion Plus, which at the time was probably $300 or maybe $280. But for college kids, that was a lot of money. I mean, now it's even a lot of money, but yeah, back then it was like $1,000. And she bought me my first drum kit, set it up in her house, and basically said, this is your kit, this is your practice bass, and I'm your bandmate. So I went from having nothing to, at 21 years old, after waiting quite a while, to having kind of everything I had wanted. So my journey to the drums was Riot Girl, a bass guitar, fast forward, get to Gainesville, heavily involved in music the entire time, going to shows all the time, setting up shows, and then finally getting my drum set from my best friend, and then never looking back.
Oh my God, best friend
God.
ever. Hello. Just here.
Yeah.
Drums.
I actually live next door to her now, so she can't get rid of me.
Oh my God. Love that. So how did you go from that moment to thinking about setting up TomTom Magazine? Can you tell us a bit about that?
I think I'm going to back up just a little bit more because there's too many steps to get to the TomTom space. So I think I'm going to start back with Riot Girl. What attracted me to Riot Girl was that there were girls playing instruments, women in, almost all female bands. I was into Bikini Kill, I was into L7, I was into these bands that women and girls were playing in, and they were also not necessarily great at their instruments, but they had something that they had to say, and they were really passionate and sometimes angry, very loud. That stuck with me. So that was I'm 14, I'm learning every lyric to all these songs, and I'm thinking oh, I could see myself in this. So that directly translated into my very first band in Gainesville. So I get to University of Florida, and I'm in school, but all the rest of the time I'm in the punk scene, I'm in the anarchist scene, and it's dominated by guys playing music. And I'm super into the music. It's hot water music. It's Against All Authority, Less Than Jake, all these really great bands, 12 Hour Turn. And I get involved by booking the shows, by becoming super into Wayward Council and Civic Media Center, which was our show spaces and our record shops. And so by the time I get my drum set and I start a band, I'm already booking most of the shows that are happening in Gainesville. So I just slipped my band right into the bill with all these incredible bands that have been playing forever and have huge followings. So all of a sudden I'm playing shows that we shouldn't have been playing, right? Because I have the ability to book us. So that's my experience in Gainesville. And then I moved to New York City. And in my mind, I thought New York City is going to be crawling with female musicians. It's going to be really easy for me to find my people, to find my bandmates. And that wasn't the case. I got to Brooklyn, and once again, I'm booking shows and I'm working at the music shops, but I can't find the women to play with. And someone said to me, oh, Rock Camp for Girls is coming to New York City, because it had been in Portland for a couple of years. And I was like, okay, cool. This is my spot. And it was 1000% my home. I got there and I met all of these women who play music. And then all these girls came in and we taught them how to play music. And I was like, oh my God. And I had been playing drums for maybe 6 years at that point, and I was a drum instructor all of a sudden. So I was learning as I was teaching, and it was super empowering. And I, of course, like I had a 1-girl band, and I played it at rock camp, and everybody was like, just made me feel like a rock star. So I think I'm telling you guys these little stories to kind of to plot along the way to where I got the confidence, plus the feeling of necessity for starting TomTom. So starting TomTom happened after rock camp, living in New York City, being in bands, booking shows, working at venues. And at the time I was working at East Village Radio, which is like a 24-hour, like a streaming radio service in East Village. And so I was working there, and I was looking around. I'm like, can I curse on this? Okay. So I'm like, there's a fuck ton of women playing music, and they're not just okay, they're incredible. And now I'm watching this next generation of girls learning from us and from other people, and they're amazing, and they're going to be amazing. Yet there's like zero representation of us anywhere. I know us, but does everyone else know us? And that's where TomTom started. So I was sitting at my job in the East Village, like thinking I'm going to do this if it doesn't already exist. And so I just started a blog, and I started TomTom because I knew we needed it. Like from the early Riot Girl roots to living in like this music city, New York City, but still not seeing the representation of us out there. I thought, okay, I need to do this if it's not happening. And then everyone else started helping me. So
you have such an incredible like work ethic force. Have you always been this way? Where's it from? Sorry, Gemma, to
No, not at all.
Add in an ad lib. But you are. I just feel like you just have this calling and this drive. And has that always been since you were little? Where's it from?
Honestly, I was looking through the questions that we're going to get through today, and one of the questions is like balancing motherhood and work. And I think I realized after being a mom that I put 110 into everything, which I had no idea. Like I didn't know. I also have a butterfly garden that I put 110 into, and I did not know this about myself. I thought in TomTom, I knew I had to do what I was doing, and I put all of myself into it. But now that I have a kid, I'm like, oh, I can't divide my energy. It feels like all I can do is one thing, like all the way. And I don't remember being like this, but I must have always been like this. I think I was like this out of the womb, but I didn't know. TomTom showed me, but then subsequently, like really having Jeej and realizing that I'm really good at hard focusing. Yeah, and I also have a deep drive for justice. I really believe that we can be good to each other. I think most of us are, and I think I really want to pull that out of people. And TomTom is the place I get to do that. It's been the place I wanted to like level the playing field. I still do. And when I know something is right, there's kind of nothing stopping me, and there's nothing stopping me from inspiring other people to work in that same field. So I just know, I know like you two know that playing the drums is just this most incredible, empowering feeling that I want to pass on. And there's no reason why girls and women shouldn't be doing it as much as or more than boys and men. So like, it's just like free reign for me to work as hard as I want.
I've also worked at a magazine, and I know what a huge amount of work that is. But you were doing TomTom, I mean, way before I was working on a magazine. Like, how did you just start that up from an idea? What did you do, like on a practical level, to make that happen?
It was really, really like a snowball effect. It was literally, I happened to have taught myself a little bit about coding websites. And so I was just starting a blog. I didn't think anything more was going to happen. And then I met this like really amazing, way better coder, Harlow Holmes, who is also a drum programmer. And then I met this really incredible designer, Candice Ralph. And so all of a sudden there's 3 of us. And Harlow's like, hang on, let me just set up a real website for TomTom. Beautiful website. And we have this designer who's making it look so legitimate. that was step 2. Step 3 was people demanding that it be in print. All the female drummers that we were covering were like, when is this going to go out to print? And I'm like, I don't know, November 9th. Like, so all of a sudden it's in print. Really, really baby steps and learning everything the hard way and along the way. But I just knew we absolutely needed to be in print. Like, after littering the internet, which I think is equally important, that YouTube and the image sourcing and Google search results were all bringing back actual female and girl drummers stories and articles. Like, besides that being like my number one goal, the number one goal was also that we be in print, so that when the internet goes away, or, when the search results, when we become 100 rather than number 3 on the search results, that there's still proof that we were there, we've been there, we're going to be there, And that's when my desire to grow the magazine built. And that just like, how do I print more? How do I get more pages? How do I get it in Europe? How do I get it on airplanes? How do I get it? So it was like that. I don't know. And really having zero clue how to do any of this, but learning along the way. I asked a lot of people questions. I became friends with Phil Hood and Dave Levine, which Phil, who is running Drum, and then I was lucky enough to meet the guy who ran Wax Poetics and Fader magazine. So I would just like message these guys and be like, can I take you for lunch? And then I would just straight up ask them, how you're doing distribute? How are you selling ads? And I still do that. Like, I just met with the woman who runs Broccoli magazine. She was so generous with information, and like she just set me up for probably the next couple years of my life with a 1/2 hour meeting. So I think it really came from like a desire to be around, like an anger that we weren't there yet. And, a lot of people helping out, really.
You've done a lot for equality and visibility in the drum industry with TomTom. How do you feel about where the drum industry is now?
There's so much work to do. I feel like as much work that we did in TomTom and in Hit Like a Girl, so there's so much more. Like, I was looking at this question and thinking, how do I quantify it? And I would say that maybe TomTom made like a 5% dent, maybe, in America. But like globally, we have so much work to do. There's still just so much work to do for equality for women in every field, and definitely in the drumming world. And it's kind of like you can't take your foot off the gas, because you two know as well as I do that one of us or 12 of us or 100 of us have to be there at all times. As soon as we walk away, and I've taken a break, as soon as we do, it's really easy for the guys to just settle back in to where they were before and kind of ignore that we're there. So yeah, we've done something. I wasn't really good at collecting data along the way to see what we've done, and lots of people want to see graphs of how many more women were in the industry or how many more girls bought drum sets while TomTom was doing the work. And I should have done that. I didn't do that. We moved the needle to some degree, and I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you guys. So we'll keep going, basically. And there's a lot to do, a lot.
I just want to say thank you for starting that, because I actually remember seeing TomTom online. I mean, it was a very long time ago at the beginning of my journey, and just seeing it made me feel less alone and made me feel like, oh, maybe I found some of my people. And so, yeah, I just wanted to put that in because it's made a difference to me. So
that's really amazing. Oh, you guys.
Yeah, but I also remember at that time that men would say, this is outrageous. Why would there need to be a magazine just about women who play drums? That's sexist. And that was then. And it's like, oh, yeah.
So
there's no answer that you can give to someone when they have that thought already, because, I mean, they just didn't know how much it was needed.
With that, the next question is linked to that, because I find myself still having that conversation, like recently, where I'm asked this question. So I wonder if you can explain, because obviously people who listen to this podcast, everyone is going to have different views and they might not understand from the place we all understand it. So could you tell us why you think it was important to create a women only space in the community, and if it's still important today?
Oh, I definitely think it's still important today. And the way I define the women's only space, it's like I always used to say TomTom is about female drummers for everyone. Okay. So the existing drum magazines at the time did the worst job at covering girls and women, like zero. Maybe there'd be a story about Sheila E. Okay. Dedicating a space to talking about women that already were players, women that present tense players, and then the future of girls on drums needed to happen because the male magazines, I call them the male magazines because that's what they are / were, weren't going to do that. So to recognize the women that were there and the ones that were to be, we needed our own space. And that doesn't mean guys can't partake. In fact, we had a roundtable discussion around the second issue of TomTom in Portland at Revival Drum Shop. And half of the room was guys talking about, I would often bring the magazine to workshop with people who are reading the magazine, drummers. And the guys were like, this is awesome. This is just about drummers. This isn't about like some celebrity who has like a 25-piece kit. This is about someone loading their drum kit. This is about the average drummer, right? And I like took that on board, and I thought a lot about that. It's not a female drumming magazine. It's actually a drummers magazine. We happen to focus on women and girls. But if people can't see like the irony in saying like, why do we need our own space when we've literally been omitted from every other space? Like the ultimate goal is we just have drum magazines, obviously, that cover everyone. But until that happens, we need to make sure that we're getting the coverage we need to, primarily so that girls see themselves in the space and can include themselves into the next generation of drumming. So guys who have complaints should just help us in our world so that we can bridge the gap sooner, because the gap is wide. And when I started, it was non-existent. There were no girls and women in these other drum magazines, you know? And what was super fun about TomTom was not just being able to cover women and girls in like 100% of the editorial, but also in the advertising, like making sure that our marketing had product only or women and girls in the ads. That was one of my favorite parts, because that was me talking to the industry and letting them know that what they've been doing is unacceptable. And our magazine has women and girls in it. So you need to figure it out. You need to figure out who you're going to sponsor, who you're going to endorse, get them in your ad, make that ad and pass it to me. And whenever I would see that ad bleed over into the other drum magazines, the male drum magazines, I felt like victory, you know, that felt like, whoa, I snuck a woman into drum or into rhythm or into whatever magazine where she otherwise would not have been. And it was through an ad, but I was still like, we win, you know, I felt like a winner.
No, it's great. It's something that I felt so passionate about. These tiny things that probably no one else would have recognized, but like changing the language, that it wasn't really like words that were really masculine weighted. And I would just, making these tiny changes, making sure that ads were there. And just even if it featured a band with a woman in the band, even if they weren't a drummer, but these tiny things that people just aren't aware of, like how heavily weighted towards men everything is. And
it's huge. And not just men, but usually it'll be like white men or white men of a certain ability or like of a class or, you know, or an age. And so it's been so rewarding to be able to talk about women and girls, but then to really be able to talk about diversity in general in the drumming world and in the music industry. And like to have people think of me. And when I say people, I mean like staff of drum companies. If they think of me as someone who can help them diversify their audience, that would be like the biggest compliment of all. And when people started calling me for help with that, I was just like, pleased, very happy.
We were going to talk a bit about motherhood now. And
Mm-hmm.
did you always feel that you wanted to be a mum at some point?
No, but like everyone who worked with me at TomTom, like thought of me as incredibly maternal, and I was always like, really? I don't know. I did think of like the magazines as like my kids because they were like birthing each one was really hard, like really hard. And then it would get out in the world. I'm like, oh my God, thank God it's out there. Like, holy shit, that was hard. And we're going to do this again. No, I never really thought I'd be a mom, but I guess I must have because I was on that trajectory. And no, I didn't. But there were times where I thought, oh, if I don't meet the right person, I'm going to adopt. So somewhere in there, I was like, I'm probably going to try this. I'm going to try motherhood. But it did feel like I kind of bumped into it rather than it being my plan all along or something.
Can you speak a little bit more on that, like the journey into becoming a mom? Did you have like a few months where you're like thinking, this is, I'm ready, or what was the journey like for you?
I did. I was actually, me and my partner were trying to have a kid. We definitely were. We were like, okay, we're doing this, and like for sure, I was like, all right, we're going to start trying to have a kid. So that happened, and I actually had a full-term loss of a kid, which was really wild. Not one of the most painful things that's happened to me in my life, which seems crazy knowing how painful it is. But one of the top most painful things that's ever happened was we lost a kid one day after he was born, Yona. And when I lost him, that was like the moment where I knew, oh, I'm supposed to be a mom. I need to be a mom. That like losing him catapulted me into like, how do I become a mom? And so I went straight back into trying to have a kid. And I was actually like 1 year after losing him, I was in a no needle IVF office and they were like preparing me for IVF. And they fleshed my uterus and like gave me all the needles and things I needed for the following day. It's called no needle, but it was like, it really means less needle. So I was sent home with like a bunch of like what I need to do to get prepared for IVF. And the following morning they called to say like, I hope you haven't taken anything because you're actually already pregnant. And that was 1 year from losing Yona. So wildness. And that's Gigi, who I have now. Crazy. So I knew I wanted to be a mom the most after I lost him. And that might have been hormones like flushing through my body going like, where's the baby? But I became a mom 1 year after losing him to Gigi, who's now 4. And she's like a spitfire. And I'm so into her.
Oh, does she play drums?
She's a drummer.
Yes. Okay.
She's actually really good, which is weird because I don't like teach her at all. It was like a year ago where I said to her something like, are you learning the drums? And she goes, no, I am a drummer. I was like, oh my God, this is my kid. Like I passed that on through the genes somehow. I have no idea how I did that. Because if she hadn't said that, I would have said that, no, you are a drummer. I would have said it right after she said, yeah, I'm learning how to be like, no, you're a drummer. So she's a drummer, but she is also attracted to the trumpet, which is like blowing my mind. I don't understand. She might be a trumpet player and a drummer. I don't know, but she's a drummer.
Love it. Okay, so did you have any ideas or fears about juggling motherhood and your career aspirations?
Well, it was COVID when I had Jeej. So I knew I had time to figure out what was going on. Like prior to having her, when I was pregnant with Yona, I was like, oh, there's going to be like a little bouncer in the TomTom office. And I'm just going to, with my foot, I'm going to bounce the baby and I'm going to do my work. That seems like ridiculous now that I think about it. But I didn't have that experience. I had COVID and I was like, the world was shut down. No one was coming over. It was just like me and my partner and a like wrinkly like thing in my house that I had to keep alive. So I didn't have to worry about TomTom. And now that we're 4 years in, like I said, I think I don't know how to split my time. So I'm still not back into TomTom. TomTom's on pause and has been on pause. I don't really know how I would because TomTom requires so much of me. It is definitely not a part-time job. If I had had a partner in TomTom, that would be different. That'd be different. And I think that partner would be like, okay, this is what I think my business partner would say to me. 1 more year and then we need you back in, like almost full time. So I think when Gigi is 5, my brain and body will let me like relax and focus the way that I need to for the magazine. But up until now, I seriously, like, I don't know. I know people who are doctors and have kids. I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, how? But I can't. I am like, I think about her almost all the time. So there's that.
I don't know if you remember this, but we went out for the night. A bunch of people, very random. I don't know if you remember this at all.
I do remember this, but I don't know what you're about to say next.
2 shots later. No. And I think I was confiding in you about wanting to have kids. And what I was left with, what I remember is you just going, just get up, just do it already. You were like, just do it. You'll figure it out because this person, and you listed off like a reel of lady drummers as well who had kids. And you were just like, come on. They've all done it. Just get to it. Stop messing around. But with love. And thank you for that little push. It was just, it was reassuring. It was reassuring. I was like, you know what? Mindy's right. She's right.
Let's get on with it.
Yeah, let's get on with it.
I mean, you look what you've accomplished, like beyond having your kids too. It's like, it doesn't hold you back, right? In spite of them.
Yeah, they inspire me to do it, really. It's like, I don't know, it's fire under me, isn't it? Because I have to do it. For me, but for them to show them what's possible, right? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember you saying that, and I feel like, I think that, I feel like if there's a drive to accomplish something in life, and a woman's asking me whether or not she should do it, I'm gonna be like, like now, like right when you get home, get pregnant, or like right when you get home, start your women's drum camp. You know what I mean? It's like, if you have that inclination, then you're meant to do it, you know? Mm-hmm. That's your intuition, basically being like, should I? And then the doubt is just the world around us that fosters that doubt, specifically in women, I think, but also sometimes in women.
I agree.
I think it's really easy as well to just let other stuff come in and you deal with that first before actually dealing with what you have the idea of or the need to do.
Totally.
Maybe that's just me, but I think that's women are more prone to that. So
I agree. To have to clear the space for ourselves is a bigger ordeal.
Yes. Like battle sometimes, right? Just make space. I wanted to ask you, just checking I'm getting my order. Yeah. With massive drum shows and festivals often being organized by men, what can we do to help equality? Just feel like it can seem impenetrable sometimes, or just like a club that maybe I'm not given an invitation to.
Oh, I know. I totally get it. Obviously, like, so I thought about this question and I thought, like, the first thing I would say is just to feel agency. That thing we just talked about is just to know that you have power. For anyone who doesn't think they have the power, I'm telling you that you do. And then the steps that you can take to make those changes are up to you. So one thing you can do that's super easy is just like call them out on social media. I don't know. I'm not talking about effectiveness right now. I'm just talking about ideas. So an easy thing to do is like to talk about, hey, this festival lineup is lacking women, or only has 2 bands with women and 25 women, whatever. Putting it out on social media and like talking about what you feel like could change about it. The other thing you can do is directly contact the festival organizers. Hey guys, do you not know bands with women in them? Because I do. That's a good one. That's a nice entry point. That's like, sometimes we have more information than people, and sometimes we can shame them into doing the right thing. And sometimes it really is a lack of information on their part. They just may not know. So that's me being very kind, right? But approaching them and saying like, hey, I can help you program this festival next year, or do you have any slots available, because you really should have women represented in this, whatever. And the last thing to do is do what each of us has done, which is create your own space, like start your own festivals. It can even, if you're angry enough, it could be on the same exact day, or you just do it a month later. And like, your goal is to be successful, right? Ultimately, your goal is that these people see your success and borrow from you. Understand that, how come there's so many people over there? It's like, oh, because we foster equality, and that's attractive, and that's fun, and that's what music's about. So that's what I felt like all of those things were a part of TomTom, was like modeling the behavior I wish they had, sharing the information that I had with them if they wanted it, and then starting my own thing rather than waiting for them to make the change. And then the little bit of shaming was like, it was kind of obvious to anyone who saw how much content we had. By the way, I know I'm going a million tangents. Issues 1 through 7, in every interview I took, the question, do you fear you will run out of content, would come up. Amazing question, isn't it? And that's just one of those things that, like, anytime someone asks me that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm putting out like 7 more issues. It's going to be more pages. We're going to do, like, that was my fire. Like, do you genuinely believe there are only however many drummers that I can fill in? So basically the visibility aspect of it, sometimes people really truly don't think we're out there. And so creating our spaces, elevating ourselves, and showing people that we are might be the key. If that's too much work, then yeah, just shame the organizers and or help them. Like, they, and if they're total assholes, then that's just that, you just leave them be. And I've definitely encountered people who don't care about visibility, equality, diversity. Like, there's plenty of those folks around, and that's fine too. They can have their spaces and do their own things. Let them be. It's a lot. I talk a lot, guys.
No, it's all just so, I love the way you're just so upfront about everything. And because I have the same beliefs as you, obviously, but I still do have a little bit this feeling like, oh, but maybe I shouldn't say that right now, or I should really think about the way that I respond to get that point across. And I love how you're just like, that's how it is.
I know what you mean. And I don't think I ever bit my tongue, and that did get me in trouble. But I felt like if I didn't speak really clearly to the music industry, about the music industry, then there would be a lot of wiggle room for them to go, like, to squeeze out and stuff. And people definitely thought of me as, like, however they wanted to think of me. Like, I was definitely someone that was coming to get answers from them. And some of them started to avoid me, and that's fine. Like, I'm not going anywhere though, and someone else can say it nicer, at the point at which I approached TomTom, I was already like, you've got to be joking me. I've been doing this since I was 14. I started TomTom at 29. So that's almost 15 years of being completely ignored. Right? So at that point, and I was also like, wait, but what about all these other drummers who've been playing for 50 years that have gotten no credibility from you guys, and no visibility and no celebration? Like, those were my heroes. You guys are my heroes. And I was like, how are you guys not in magazines? I'm just like a drummer, just having fun drumming. But what about the drummers who have dedicated their lives to it? Like, how angry must they feel, or how invisible must they feel? So by the time I got there, I wasn't talking about me. I was talking about a little bit about me, but like realizing it was all of our stories. And I'm just like annoyed. And I don't really want people to be able to wriggle out of that, in front of me. So I can be pretty direct. And I'm up for the conversation if someone wants to challenge me too. So I'm like, okay, what are you doing? What did your company do? What's your festival doing? Why can't you do it? What's stopping you? And then if they have a really good reason, which they never do, I'll listen. And then if they have issues to getting to that place of diversity, I'm right there to help them. I'm like, oh, cool, let's talk. Like, I will help you find the bands. And I always do, I always help. So there's that.
Kira, do you want to Do you want to go next?
You're my hero. That's what I'm going to say.
You guys are my heroes. We're on a hero call. Seriously. I'm in the most amazing company. I feel so lucky. Like that I'm talking to you too is like, for me, is just like, I feel like I made it somewhere in life.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I'm serious.
I feel the same, talking to you two. So that's lovely.
Oh, we're in good company. Earlier we were talking about TomTom. What was the biggest lesson you've learned from that process? I'm wondering if there was one bit of advice you could give someone else from that time. Sozzles, I'm just putting you on the spot.
Smokes. No, this is a great question. So a bit of advice I'd give someone about what? About starting something or about?
Yes, because I feel like I view you as someone who is quite fearless and determined. So for someone who perhaps wants to do the things but is maybe scared.
Okay, so this I don't know if this will help anyone, but I do feel like this might be helpful. So I don't start anything to start something. I start it if I feel like there's a need and someone's not already doing it. So before TomTom, what I did was, if I found something I felt incredibly aligned with, I jumped in, I volunteered, or I tried to find a job, and I worked with those people that were my heroes. So I told a story about Rock Camp for Girls. I also did Vibe Songmakers in New York. Both of those programs spoke to me like 100%. And I jumped in and volunteered on both of those programs as a drum instructor and a drumming artist, a teaching artist for Vibe. I did that for a long time, for like 10 years. I think if you align yourself with people, with organizations, with groups that speak to you 100%, by the time you find the thing that you're meant to do, say on your own or start or organize around, it'll all come together. So TomTom was super organic for me. I thought there was already a drum magazine out there covering women and girls, and I started my blog in an effort to find that magazine and have them try to shut me down. And then I was going to go, okay, cool. Can I work for you? That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought somewhere someone was running a girls magazine for drums. And I literally, like, over the first few months was just kind of like waiting for someone to email me and go, yeah, we already have this. We're in New Zealand. Like, can you please stop? And I'd be like, oh yeah, can I write for you? Or like, whatever. Since that didn't happen, I ended up as the default like head of this thing, which I like did not feel at all qualified for, but made sure I was qualified for like years in, like did all the work to make sure I was the right person, at least for TomTom, for what TomTom is and was. So my advice is like to just like to not rush anything. Like you don't have to start something because you think you have to, because someone told you have to start something to make a difference. I think if you meet someone you feel aligned with, ask them if you can help them. And that's what I did forever until the thing I wanted to do fell into my lap. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, you're doing this. And I was like, oh my God, I think I am doing this. And then put your 110% in.
Amazing. Our last question. I don't know how relevant this is going to be, but do you watch Bluey?
Yes, not enough. I'm trying to get her to watch more. But I do watch Bluey. Do you have a
favorite episode?
Oh, is there a drumming episode? Get out of here.
Is there? Oh yeah, there is. Okay, so yeah. Gemma has a talent of knowing. Sorry, Gemma, I love you, but she knows every freaking episode.
I don't. It's just the ones that people talk about on here. They're just ones that I also love. Honestly, I promise. I'm not spending the whole time watching Bluey.
Oh yeah, right. Now we know. I want to spend all my time watching Bluey too.
Do you have a favorite one that you've seen?
Honestly, they're all good. I'm trying to think. We also have the Bluey book set. So I think it's like, there's a really funny one where the grandmas are trying to use cell phones, but I haven't watched enough to be able to like really pick a favorite, because I know there's some really good ones out there.
Cool.
Is
Well
this
done.
my last question?
You passed the test.
Did you pass the test? No, that's not the last question. But I just have to say about the drumming one, the one where Bingo is playing drums. It's heartbreaking. It's a short. She goes into a music shop with her mum and Bluey, and Bingo goes and tries out the E kit, and she's got her headphones on, and she's really good. She's amazing, plays this beat, but her mum is talking so much to the guy in the shop about what instrument she should learn that no one sees how amazing she is. And then they leave the shop, and I just, after watching it, I was like,
Smoking me.
No.
that is how it is.
Ow. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
Anyway.
my God. That's harsh.
It is harsh. What are you working on at the moment? Are you doing anything that we're not aware of, apart from your butterfly house?
Yeah, I have a butterfly garden. Raising a Spitfire of a 4-year-old. I am thinking about the next steps for TomTom. Yeah, like right when COVID hit, I was in a burnout phase, but I was also about to do some really incredible things with TomTom. We were about to be like in a Ford commercial. We had an Apple series that we were doing. We were, working with the MoMA on their anniversary. We're going to fill it with drummers. Really exciting things were happening, but also this there was some challenges, and I think I was like 10 years in. It was just hard. It was hard. So I'm very grateful for this break, but I feel like the suggestion I was saying earlier, like, don't do something if you don't know what you're doing just yet. Like, just wait. I don't want to have to do something. So I'm not doing something because I feel like I have to. I'm waiting until I know what I have to do. And there were thoughts about the magazine being not just about girl drummers, but guitar, bass, like the whole thing. So I don't know. I'm still thinking. If anyone wants to talk to me about what they think TomTom could be and should be right now, I am super open to that because, yeah, I would love a collaborator or 2 or 3 in the world. So that's where I'm at. I think when she's 5, I'm going to be back in at 55%.
Cool.
And give her the other 55.
Yeah. Make the 110, obviously, because that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been really good to speak to you.
Thanks for listening to the Drummer Mamas podcast. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave us a 5-star rating because it makes us more visible to other listeners. And we really do appreciate any comments or reviews. It makes a difference. Thanks again, and see you next time.